Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Here's a little tune to help you remember. Same drive, different day. Don't you wish you were getting away? Pack your bags and come on through. Texas, Ohio, Alaska, we're up there too. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Well, I hope you like my little song. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Listen, all you New Yorkers.
Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Obviously, a lot of attention, rightly so, being paid to what's going on in Iran, what this means for our country's national security and our economics. To break it all down, I'm excited to be joined by Brent Sadler, who is at the Heritage Foundation, but more importantly, spent 26 years in the United States Navy with numerous operational tours. He, as I said before the break, established the Navy's Asia-Pacific Advisory Group. He reported directly to the Chief of Naval Operations, served on the CNO staff, lots of experience in this area. Brent, good to see you. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me on this important topic, Sean.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question that I think obviously plays to let me actually, as I'm thinking about this real quick, when the president talks about the threat, explain to the if you're sitting at a dinner party last night on a Saturday night, someone says, Brent, you were in the Navy 26 years, you did all this stuff advising high-level people. What threat does Iran pose?
There's several. There's the global one with their network of terrorists and proxies that threaten American lives. They've got over 1,000 American souls on their hands, blood on their hands. So that's one. And it's also illicit networks like illicit narcotics trafficking for fundraising, and their whole networks and, I guess, comrades in arms, so to speak, like Hamas and Hezbollah. The other threat is their nuclear program, which gets a lot of attention, and the ballistic missiles in which they'd use. That's the longer term, though it certainly seems very, very real right now, but maybe a little longer term because of so much damage that's been done since Midnight Hammer. And then there's always been this ever-present, blackmail threat that they have, and they're trying to execute right now in the Straits of Hormuz and holding the world economy at risk unless they get their way. And I think on that one, I think it's probably time to call their bluff.
All right, so let's go down that rabbit hole because there's a lot of people who don't have the experience that you had as a naval officer at that level. There's a lot of people who ask me, like, how hard can it be to control a strait? We're the biggest, most powerful Navy in the world. Why can't we control this little strait in the Middle East?
Yeah, so first, the geography. You've got something that's about 20 miles across. It's the most narrowest point. There's kind of a set place where the ships can go through because of the depth. So if you're an Iranian, that kind of simplifies your targeting. But they only have so many options now because of the bombing campaign and the air dominance that we have right now. So we'll see them if they come out to basically take a shot, or if they're going to try and use little small boats. So they have little small bomb-laden boats. They have drones. And they've only had, I think, 18 attacks since the beginning of this war, and about 11 additional attacks that didn't hit, but are suspected. So there's not like the ability that they can reach out and sink a ship in the middle of the Straits of Hormuz. What they're trying to do is weaken confidence. And so that's the thing that we need to focus on. How do we regain confidence that ships can, with a modest risk, transit the Straits of Hormuz? Air dominance we got right now. We got Marines. We got Navy. We got lots of big ships that want to go through. Normal day 100. Now we're at 6. You could actually bum rush it. That's probably going to overwhelm them, and we'd be ready to basically intercept any Iranian attacks as they come out.
But isn't it, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it's one thing to say we're going to have a Navy vessel sail through the strait. But if you're an MSC or Maersk ship that's carrying cargo or oil for that ship, like, isn't that the bigger issue, that the cargo guys are like, hey, that's great. We're not a Navy ship. We don't have the ability, countermeasures, et cetera, to fend these guys off. And all they need is a little ding against our hull, to threaten the viability of a cargo ship or maybe the first layer of it, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is where the math comes into this. I mean, the damage that's caused by the attack so far is it's modest, but the insurance rates are massive. And those insurance rates are set by 8 underwriters, I think all of them are in London. So once the confidence goes up, those rates will go down, and it kind of works. So it's a little chicken and egg, and you got to do both. We have Marines. We've put Marines on ships, and they've used their crew-served weapons before to defend against the small boats, like the bomb-laden ones, and they could shoot down drones. We also could use air assets flying over the straits to monitor, but also to intercept any attacks as they're coming out before they get to the ships. So you don't have to have a destroyer sailing alongside one of these tankers to escort it safely through the straits. We're close enough to do what we need. I think you bring up an important point. We currently have 5 U.S. flag ships with U.S. merchant mariners on board in the Persian Gulf. They're kind of stuck there. One's kind of getting repaired. I won't say the names, won't say the locations, but those should be the first group that gets, protected on call it a convoy op through the Straits of Hormuz. But you do that and you demonstrate how ineffectual the Iranian capability is, and the fact the ships get through, confidence goes up, insurance rates go down, more ships go through. The challenge for the Iranians to interdict or launch attacks continues to be degraded, and eventually we get back to a normal kind of shipping route through there, and the Iranians have no more leverage.
I think the way you're explaining it is what people need to understand, that because I get asked all this time, isn't the Navy able to? I said, the Navy's fine. But if you're a commercial shipper, it's all about, what's the value of going through? Like if I get my ship or my cargo or frankly the crew and I'm not being told it's safe, it's like frankly a plane taking off. If there's not confidence in the crew to take off, they're not going to, American Airlines or United or whatever isn't going to take the plane off because there's a fear that they've got a lot of, human cargo aboard. So but I think one of the I don't know if I want to call it a messaging challenge, but I think when people hear the president say we have air superiority, we have naval superiority, and then people go, then what's the problem? Why if you've taken out all their assets, why don't you just sail through?
2 parts of it. One is we've got to rally enough ships that want to basically go through and challenge the Iranians to take a shot at them. And not go through the Ayatollah's toll booth that's kind of being formed, basically challenging. And then the U.S. military to be able to coordinate with that flotilla of ships, because you don't want to just do 1 or 2, because that's an easier target for the Iranians if they get the targeting and the queuing to kind of go after. So say you've got 10 of these ships that are willing to go through with U.S. air and intelligence assets kind of monitoring the coastline for any activity or any threats to be able to respond quickly. So you want to make sure you got the placement, you've got the timing, and most importantly, you got the ships that are going to go sail through, that you're going to kind of have an overwatch as they go through there. So it's a convoy, but not like what you see like in Greyhound, the movie in the North Atlantic, going after German submarines. It's not that. The modern warfare and the size of these ships and the types of weapons that the Iranians are using, very different. And again, the good question is, why haven't we done it yet? Probably because there's not enough shippers that are willing to take the risk, or there's not the forces that have been in place. And I thought that was true until the Marines arrived, because with their crew-served weapons, you put them on the ships, assuming the ships will allow them. Certainly the U.S. flag ones, it's a lot easier question to answer, but perhaps this is coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get to the Marines' role in just a second, because it raises an interesting question about securing the area. But I want to ask you just a logistics question that I don't know that you have the answer for this, and I apologize for setting you up. But I've been intrigued by this idea that people are saying, okay, well, you mentioned that normally 100 ships go through and 6 are going through now, and certain ones are getting in and out. How does that? Do you know how that works? I mean, do they call like a port and say, hey, can we go through? And some Iranian is like, yup, you can get through, but you can't, or you got to pay. Who's actually in control of this?
Yeah, it's a great question. So normally you'll have like a vessel traffic management system. The ships are turning off their AIS so they don't get targeted. So that's not being utilized if it was in place, or there's any calling, checking in at certain points in the shipping. And so it's interesting because the Iranians, there's stuff on the social media where on Channel 16, the bridge-to-bridge radio are calling up these ships and saying, hey, turn around, you're entering in a restricted area unless you have paid us this money, basically, and then go through the Ayatollah's maritime
But who's
toll
the
booth.
us? I mean, don't you? Is like do you like that's what I'm trying to figure out. You know as well as I do that
Yeah.
you're coming into a normal channel, whatever you call your pilot or whatever, and like somebody's telling you, okay, and I can trust that person, has the authority.
Yeah.
Or you call ahead to the bridge, hey, can you make sure that the bridge is up or whatever? Okay, like they're in charge. Is there? I mean, we hear a lot about the command and control and the who's in charge in Iran. Is that
Yeah.
like, is there somebody that's actually like that we can go, oh yeah, that's Bobby. He's in charge of the straight passages.
Yeah, I'd be very skittish about trying to put a lot of confidence in the Iranians' ability.
Right.
We've seen the Houthis shoot at their own allies and take shots at Chinese ships they said they weren't going to target. So one of the systems is AIS. It's an automated information system. This is the thing that you can go online and actually track the ships this way on Fleet Tracker and other type web-based commercial tracking systems. You turn this thing on, it's satellite-based. The Iranians probably go online if they got internet connection, and then they see these ships, or they look out of binoculars on a coast watch, which is probably why they also have the shipping lane, the Ayatollah's toll booth, so close to their land so they can see it from shore. And so they can look at it, and then they can check against the AIS data, and they say, yeah, that's it. And they might even send out small ships. Now, if they're doing that, that's also a target for U.S. forces to go after them, and would hope so that we would do that. But, yeah, the logistics of it, they've been doing this now for about a week or so. We've got a lot of ships on both sides of the straits, so I think there'd be a lot of candidates for a protected overwatch test of the Iranians' ability to attack shipping in the Straits of Hormuz. But we need to do it, take away their leverage.
So the Europeans have been meeting, saying that they're like coming up with a plan. I'm sorry, like what I mean, I sort of am at a loss because I'm thinking to myself, number one, I mean, just they haven't been helpful so far. Number two, do they even have the capabilities? Like, if we said, okay, like we're ready to, like, I'm sort of intrigued. Like, it seems to me like another one of those useless European meetings where they have a discussion about their inability to do something. Do they have the capability to actually secure the strait?
Well, they could. I mean, at this stage, with U.S. forces monitoring movement on the ground, with our capability to monitor like movement, like small vehicles as well as missile launchers and small boats coming out of like little inlets and stuff, we have that. That's us, the United States. They don't have that. But a French or a Dutch or Italian amphib or carrier with helicopters and aircraft could easily provide that overwatch from a distance, even on either side of the Straits of Hormuz as ships go through. They definitely could do that. There was expectations, quite frankly, that the French aircraft carrier that's right now in the Eastern Mediterranean would have been in the theater, in the Arabian Sea, or in closer into the Straits of Hormuz. Not a part of some coalition, but just simply being there, escorting their own ships is just fine, because any oil getting on the market and that confidence of shipping moving drives the insurance rates I was mentioning earlier down. So, yeah, the French need to hurry up and get there like they said they were going to do. They indicated they were going to do.
They're
the
French.
Italians got a carrier. Yeah. But one important point, just for the record on this one, too. The Saudis have built an east-west pipeline so you don't have to go through the Straits of Hormuz. It's about 7 million barrels per day. The Europeans, that easily carries all of the European energy. Doesn't carry LNG though. That's the problem here. But it carries all their crude oil requirements and a lot more. The Japanese and the South Koreans could also use that. So it's the Red Sea. They don't really need to go to the Straits of Hormuz.
Well, then wait, hold on. What am I missing then, Brent? Because why are we not exploring that as a better option and screw the Iranians by denying the importance of this?
Absolutely. So for a long time, there were two things out there, and the Abraham Accords could be the vehicle to finally trigger it. One is a pipeline that goes from Saudi Arabia through Jordan and into Israel, or even to Gaza if there's a great
Brent, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correct. Is this a viable option today, right now? Because this is the first time in the last 40, I've not heard anyone else anywhere, and this is for our audience. I want to make sure that we're hearing this correct. Yeah. If we wanted to today turn this spigot on and run it through these pipelines, is this a viable option that within 24, 48, 72 hours we could make happen?
Well, with crude oil, the East-West pipeline has been built for years, and it's at max capacity right now, so it's happening already, which might be one of the reasons why there's not a lot of economic pressure, other than global speculation on oil prices, for the Europeans or our Asian allies to actually try to go to the Straits of Hormuz and help directly there. The Chinese, of course, might be more compelled because it's hurting them directly. No. But the pipelines I was mentioning, this is the idea. So there is no LNG. So the LNG and our Asian allies rely on a very big amount. Europeans don't either rely on the Persian Gulf LNG as much, but Asian allies do. And there's no pipeline that gets far enough away from the Straits of Hormuz. And so you'd need to build new pipelines to the Eastern Mediterranean and a new pipeline to the Arabian Sea. So that's years in the making. But
got it. Okay,
right
that's what.
Yeah. But right now we have to basically prove the Iranians don't have the competency or the capability and capacity to really damage enough ships or to sink them in the Straits to call their bluff.
Okay. Do we need Marines on the ground? You mentioned the Marines. I wanted to come back to this for a second. Obviously, the USS Tripoli is over there carrying a bunch of Marines that could be easily deployed by air. We've seen the A-10s come in that would provide close air support. I guess my big question is, it seems like we've done as much as we can with the Air Force and the Navy. Do we need Marines on the ground to secure the Strait?
There's a lot of ways you can do it. One, I think putting Marines on ships, that specific ships with the crew-served weapons for drone and small boat defense, I think is something that should be a very good use, and they are very well trained at it, and they've done it before going through the Straits, so they know this mission. Episodic going into sites where IRGC might be massing, like small boats for an attack or missile launchers to attack shipping. Go in, take out the site, destroy the radars, destroy the boats or whatever's there, and then leave as quickly. This is very much in the Marines, portfolio, how they're trained and how they operate. The going and taking and holding land is a different matter altogether. There was a lot of speculation that they would be used in Karg Island. There's several other islands inside the Straits that Iran took from UAE back in 1971. There was some speculation they could do that. It's good use. It's also very scalable. It's not like a land invasion. The forces and everything we have do not point to a land invasion. So in my mind, this is what I think, even with the additional Army forces, the airborne, the 82nd Airborne, this kind of operation, taking and holding islands, does make more sense in my mind.
Okay. One of the things that I have been saying, this plays to some of your background here. Yeah. I think the X factor is the Chinese and their influence over Iran. Yes. But I think there's two reasons. One, you mentioned this, that their need for some of this oil that's traversing through the Strait. The second is, I am hearing rumors that in advance of this meeting between President Trump and President Xi on May 14, 15, that they are looking to butter up the United States and say, well, we helped you here. And remember, we got this breakaway province called Taiwan. We want your support. Mm-hmm. How much influence do you think the Chinese have right now on whatever outcome we're going to have with respect to Iran's negotiations?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, because China's involvement is always in the background and pretty much in all the big issues that we have today, and is a factor that we should consider. But also, we have a lot of leverage to use against the Chinese from a very strong point. So that being said, the selection or the motivation for Pakistan to be the mediator for negotiations is interesting, because Pakistan is a huge benefactor and has close relations with Beijing. And there are rumors that Iran has also asked China to be its guarantor in any kind of deal that is sorted out and how things into the future. So how that plays out, China's does have a dog in the fight. A lot of their energy does come from the Persian Gulf, not just the Middle East, but specifically the Persian Gulf. Iran, Iraq is another big supplier for them. So for the Chinese, having free and unfettered shipping through the Straits of Hormuz is in their best interest. And this is a place where I think it's important, for looking to that summit, that we keep this very narrowly focused on where and what our interests align. It's like, all right, China, it's in your interest the Straits remain open. It's in our interest it remains open. let's work together to keep the straits open and nothing else. No other, like the Taiwan thing needs to be that's a separate issue. Nothing new there to discuss, and just kind of shut them down. Focus in on, because they are actually over a barrel of petroleum, if you want to use that kind of terminology. They're actually in a far weaker negotiating position. So my recommendation is give them nothing until they actually help and demonstrate they're going to get the straits open.
It's like Caddyshack. You will get nothing, Spalding. Anyway, yes. Brent Sadler, thank you for joining us. Captain Brent Sadler, thank you for joining us. Appreciate all the work that you're doing post your service in the Navy at the Heritage Foundation. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning and giving us insight that we're not getting anywhere else.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Sean.
You bet. All right, guys, we will be right back. You're listening to Full Court Press on WABC with Sean Spicer. We'll be right back.
This is Full Court Press with Sean Spicer on 77 WABC.